Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Clearly Ambiguous. So, protests. We are talking about protests today. Now, protest is something that is happening everywhere in some form or the other. Some protests are actually genuine, and most of the protests happening are, we all know that they are sponsored protests. Now, there seem to be protests happening in Ukraine. Yes, there are protests in Ukraine. The Ukrainian people who have been standing firmly behind President Zelensky because he's been able to sell them the idea that he is actually going up against Russia and defending them, this, that, and the other, while he loves the stage. Because then again, he's a performer, right? He was a comedian in his earlier avatar, and he likes the stage, right? So that's what that he uses that stage to basically slam Russia all the time, and while he does that, he basically makes his case for getting more and more weapons, more and more money, so that the war continues, because he knows till the time he is at war, he basically can make sure that no elections happen in Ukraine, and he can probably perpetually stay in continuity in power in Ukraine till the time he's there, right? But why are these protests happening in Ukraine? Well, let's look at it. Now, there are certain controversial laws, and what has happened is, first, let's understand what Ukraine has been wanting for a very long time. Ukraine has been wanting to join the European Union. Now, it's a very interesting concept if you look at Europe. So Europe is a continent, but then again, within Europe as a continent, there's something called the European Union, which the British went out of because they realized that it was not meeting their interests. So hence the Brexit happened. Now, essentially, there are some powerful voices in that European Union, and then everybody else is there because they feel that they'll probably benefit if they are partners in the European Union. And that's what Ukraine thinks as well, because Ukraine thinks that their security would be better if they are part of NATO. Their trade would be better if they're part of European Union. But then again, European Union, as it is, what do you call, one of those elite clubs that Ukraine wants to join, it has terms and conditions. And one of those terms and conditions was that Ukraine has to undergo certain reforms. And one of those biggest things that it had to do was address corruption, widespread corruption, which was there in Ukrainian government. Now, to address this, there were a couple of organizations. Now, there is one organization called NABU, which is National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, and another is Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, that is SAPO. And these were basically autonomous organizations which had a lot of power and no direct interference and control of the central government. Now, interestingly, in the Ukrainian parliament, which is Ukraine's Verkhnova Rada, interesting. Anyways, correct me if I'm wrong, but then again, there was a bill that was introduced, which is bill number 12414, right? And what it did was that it significantly expanded the powers of the Prosecutor General, effectively stripping the independence of National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, NABU, and Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SAPO. And these bodies are crucial for Ukraine's anti-corruption efforts and its path towards European integration. Talk about somebody like wanting to join a club so desperately. Now, what it does essentially is that because they had such a certain amount of autonomy, they were basically investigating corruption charges or allegations or what and what not with some of the really powerful people in Ukraine, probably even connected to President Zelensky. And now, obviously, by doing this, he is trying to make those things just go away. And that's why there is a public outcry, and thousands are gathering and they are shouting slogans such as corruption kills and hands off NABU. And they're criticizing President Zelensky and his administration. So finally, it seems that, there is a chink in this person's armor, and everything is not as as rosy as everybody claims it to be. And then again, while this is happening, and while the Europeans are unhappy about this, and while people in Ukraine are feeling dejected right now that they've been blindly supporting President Zelensky, they feel dejected at this point of time, and I can understand why they feel dejected is because they feel let down, right? Because they have been promised by Zelensky that, there will be no corruption, because Ukraine had a lot of corruption, and people were expecting that, and probably that was one reason for him getting a popular mandate, was to basically make sure that Ukraine basically prospers. And Ukraine is a very mineral-rich country. It has a lot of agricultural, as everybody knows that once the Russia-Ukraine war started, almost everybody got impacted because of Ukrainian agricultural produce not being there. So, why is President Zelensky doing this? Well, that is ambiguous. One thing is definitely clear, that he is basically continuing this war because he wants to stay in power. And he knows that if this war ends, that's the reason why he just does not, he just does not agree to any peace deal. That's what he says. He's somebody who's ready to come to terms with peace and still wants more weapons and wants to keep attacking someone and says, I want peace. Doesn't it look like hypocrisy or contradiction in terms, right? So anyways, that is what our comedian in Ukraine is up to. He is basically trying to dismantle anti-corruption institutions in Ukraine, while everybody thinks that he is, most of the lefty European governments, right, who have propped this leader up just because they would like to tackle Russia, right? And they keep having this narrative where they say Ukraine is winning here while it is losing its own territory. I wonder how Ukraine is winning this war, and why Ukraine has to win this war, and why Russia needs to get destroyed according to the Europeans, because it is in nobody's interest, is it? And when will, if sense dawns upon President Zelensky, when will that happen? Let's look at it, right? Because this is a person who has not been a champion of talking peace, right? He's a warmonger, and that's what he is. So anyways, that's what I wanted to bring forth, what is happening in Ukraine. There are protests happening, and if you look at it, most of the Western media, and I am thinking that, I should probably make a detailed video of how Western media works and why do they create narratives, and why those narratives need to get busted, because mostly they are lopsided and based only bearing in mind the European interests and so on and so forth. But then again, this is what Mr. Zelensky is up to. Anyways, that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Please share it with one more person. And please do subscribe. In the end, thanks for watching. Until next time, you take care of yourself. Bye for now.